The following podcast is a presentation of This Is Infamous. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to another brand spanking new edition of Intelligent Wrestling Conversation. As always, I'm your host, Billy Donnelly. Thank you for tuning in to the IWC podcast, however it is that you're getting us. So I hope you have subscribed, you have rated, and you have commented, whether it's on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Blueberry, SoundCloud, TuneIn, wherever. Thank you very much. Make sure you tell your friends. Look, we're going to do something a little bit different this week. I've been promising you that we will be talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling here on this particular podcast. I've been promising. I've been saying it's going to happen. I said we're going to talk about it more and more. And to this point, I have not made good on that commitment. But then there was this week. And this week, we are talking about nothing but New Japan Pro Wrestling. And to do that, I have recruited our resident wrestling guru, our expert-in-chief, Tom Nix, to join me for the entire podcast, not just one segment, the entire podcast this week, to talk about nothing but New Japan Pro Wrestling. Tom, are you excited?
I'm going to put expert-in-chief on all my business cards.
You should. They won't know what it is, but like,
I'm not going to tell anybody of what.
Yeah.
I'm just going to pretend. and then if someone happens to mention wrestling, they're like, oh, I get it now.
Yes. Tom, I have watched a lot of New Japan Pro Wrestling the last few days.
Yeah.
And I have actually even recruited people to watch New Japan Pro Wrestling with me. So this is going to be an exciting journey moving forward. So we got New Japan homework we're going to get to in a little bit, which I know is near and dear to your heart. But where I wanted to start this week was in the match that everyone is talking about across the wrestling community. And that is the match that took place at this year's Dominion, Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada, Part 2, the sequel, in their follow-up to their all-time classic that took place at Wrestle Kingdom 11. So before we get into the sort of the ins and the outs of the match, I know you watched it. Did you watch this one live? Did you stay up like super late and watch this one live?
No, I did not watch it live. I did watch it the next day, so I watched it about as close to live as a reasonable person would. Like I think I watched it like 10 a.m. the following day.
That's fine, yeah.
Which is like 4 hours after it aired anyway,
Yeah, I can't get up for a wrestling match at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I can't. I did, however, watch the Wrestle Kingdom 11 match live on my phone in my bed. Okay. So you're about, it's par for the course for you. And look, and New Japan special events like this or pay-per-views or whatever it is that we're calling them these days, they're no joke. These are like 4.5, 5 hour shows. So like to get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning to watch a 5 hour wrestling event, it's a tall order. I'm not going to pass judgment on anyone who does it. I'm just saying it is going to be very difficult for me to watch that much wrestling with only like a half a crusty eye open and fully enjoy it. I'm just saying. So look, before we get into the ins and the outs of the match, Tom, let's set the table for Kenny Omega versus Okada 2, how we got here and why this match is of such high stature before it even started.
So wait. Okay, you got to give me that again because I'm not sure what you want from me.
Lay the groundwork for how we got to this match and why this match was important to begin with.
Okay, so I'm not going to go too far back in the storyline, but Kenny Omega has emerged as basically the leader / face of the Bullet Club. He started out as a junior heavyweight. Then when AJ Styles signed with WWE, Omega was the one that kind of turned the Bullet Club on him and like spiked him on his damn head and sent him packing for the WWE. And then he kind of just took over and became their heavyweight, challenger. And he had the IC belt before, but he'd never really gotten a legit shot at the world title. And last year, Kenny Omega became not the first non-Japanese wrestler, but I think the first in at least the modern history of the G1 to actually win the whole thing. And if you're not familiar with the G1 Climax tournament, you should be, because you watch wrestling and it's the best. But it is a yearly tournament that happens in July through August every year, where basically all of the premier heavyweights battle each other. So it's kind of like the best of the Super Juniors that just happened, only there's more participants and it's all heavyweights. And then instead of getting a shot at the junior heavyweight title at the next pay-per-view, this one is for the main event, the actual main event slot for the IWGP heavyweight title at their quote-unquote WrestleMania at Wrestle Kingdom. So the G1's a huge deal, and it's almost always won by a Japanese wrestler. Because there aren't a whole lot of non-Japanese wrestlers in New Japan, and when they are, they're normally bad guys. Almost all of them are bad guys. But Kenny Omega won it, so he was guaranteed his title match against Okada, and or whoever the champion would be. Turned out to be Okada. He didn't lose any of his challenges in the months leading up to the Dome. So their first match at the Tokyo Dome, January 4th, I think, maybe 2nd this year, 2016, I think it's January 4th, was hailed by the internet, specifically Dave Meltzer, as the greatest match that's ever happened. It got 6 stars from the Wrestling Observer newsletter, and it was just hailed as the greatest thing to ever happen to professional wrestling, because it was 45 minutes of two of the best wrestlers in the world going absolutely, ape shit on each other, but it told a story. And one of the big storylines, which will play into the match we're about to talk about at length, was that every single time that Kenny Omega hit his finisher on the way leading up to the match, Okada got pinned. He got pinned that way in tag team matches, or he just got taken out by it and just was completely, motionless for minutes after getting hit with the one-winged angel. So in the actual match itself, like I said, it went 45 minutes, but Kenny Omega never once got to hit his finisher. It never happened, because if it did, Okada would have been pinned and Kenny would have been champion. And it took 5 Rainmakers, which is Okada's finisher, which is one of the most protected finishers in the game. It took 5 Rainmakers to finally keep Omega down and get him pinned for the win. So going into Dominion, it was set at 1-0. The champion, Okada, won. Omega, the challenger, lost. But the match was so good and was beloved by so many people that when Kenny Omega when Okada defended his title at the previous pay-per-view, he actually personally made a challenge to Kenny Omega to do it again. Normally, the challenger is the one that makes the challenge. Like someone will step up, say, "I deserve this shot. I want you," and then that match happens or doesn't happen. This is one of the first times that the actual sitting champion demanded a match against a challenger, especially for Dominion, which is their second biggest pay-per-view of the year. So that basically is how we got to where we're at. One of the greatest matches in professional wrestling history, according to some. I'm sure there's people who would disagree with that. Led to them rebooking that main event for Dominion. And Dominion is the last pay-per-view before New Japan comes to America for the very, very first time. July 1st and 2nd, they are hosting their own self-produced everything shows in America. They've come to America before as part of Ring of Honor, but never done an actual New Japan show. So the big question was, are they going to give the belt to an English speaker, Kenny Omega, and have him be the face of New Japan while they tour America? Or are they going to leave it with Okada? What's going to happen? No one knows. But all we know is this match has the potential to be one of the greatest things that's ever happened in professional wrestling, because the last time these two got together was magic. So that's the storyline in a nutshell. Okada, the ace of New Japan, the absolute best wrestler on the planet, as far as some people are concerned. Someone who has been champion for, I want to say, almost 2 years now, and just can't be beaten by anybody. Versus someone who took him to the absolute limit, never got to hit his finisher, and now they're having a rematch for the biggest title in the game on the eve of coming to America for the first time. So Billy Donnelly, that's how we got to where we're at.
Yeah,
it's the biggest title of all time.
I mean, look, and that's a lot of pressure to put on a match, because as we all know, Tom, sequels, they're a tricky business.
Yes, they are.
And to try and live up to the hype of the predecessor, as well as the expectations of the fans, is a very, very difficult line to walk. Because as you mentioned, and as we heard, especially if you listen to the English commentary for this Dominion match, They just wanted to talk all about Dave Meltzer's ratings till like to the end of the evening. I mean, they just nonstop, just Dave Meltzer. Let's talk about his stars. But personally, and this is just coming from me, I don't really give a shit about Dave Meltzer's rankings. I never have. I never will.
It's always fun. It's always fun for me to see what he has to say, because sometimes they're controversial. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it just gives me a good opening, like, well, if he gave something 5 stars, it's worth my time to check it out. Yes. I might not agree with him, but if he said it's a 5-star match, then I need to see it at a bare minimum. Yeah, so, I mean, like, I do use him for a reference point, but I definitely don't treat him as unassailable fact.
Yeah, that's as someone who deals in criticism, whether it's wrestling critique, whether it's film critique, whether it's TV critique, any sort of criticism, I have, I take issue with people who make one voice sort of like the be all end all of like all things. So in that respect, he has. I mean, look, his opinion is about as valid as ours. Ours is probably more because we're amazing, but.
Expert-in-Chief over here. Where's your credentials, Meltzer?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's see your business card.
You got abs, motherfucker.
But so with that said, I mean, look, there was a lot put upon this match. Now, let me start from my perspective here. Okay, number one, I'm growing into a Kenny Omega guy. Okay, I haven't always been a Kenny Omega guy.
He's an odd beast. He's very weird. He's a weird guy.
Yes.
And even though he's clearly very talented,
yes,
he's very Kota Ibushi-y. He likes to push the envelope, and it doesn't mean that he's awesome because he does. He likes to do weird things that wrestling is not known for doing. He leans on comedy very hard. He leans on weird stuff very hard. So I'm a huge Kenny Omega fan, but like, let's be honest, there's a huge reason why he might not be your thing, because he's weird.
He is. He marches to the beat of his own drummer. He is an acquired taste. I think yes. It is easy to, the more you watch him, to appreciate what he does in the ring. But when you try to put packaging sort of around that, is very difficult to nail down. Yes. He is the. I just had this conversation with a friend after watching this. I mean, he's the type of guy that, like, where everyone sort of brings up, like, when are people going to go to the WWE? When are certain people going to show up in the WWE? When are people going to make that leap? Kenny Omega is a guy that I don't know would be well suited for the WWE machine. I don't think they would know what the hell to do with him. I don't know that he would know what the hell to do with them, and I don't know that marriage is ever going to happen. But look, I am a guy who is now, I'm starting to. He's growing on me like a fungus. All right, he's starting to grow. He's starting to grow.
Personally, I think that, since we're on the subject, I think the WWE pairing is going to happen at some point. It's not in the cards in the near future because he has stories he needs to tell, and those stories can only be told in Japan. The WWE is not the place for those stories. But I think once he gets the stories he's trying to tell out, there are too many dream matches waiting for him in America for him to pass by. Because you got to remember, he never really got a shot at AJ Styles because he was on his team. They were both Bullet Club members. And then when AJ split, Kenny was one that turned on him and knocked him out, but then AJ was gone. Like there was no like, hey, you're the one that turned on me, let's fight. No, AJ left. So the whole like main event level Kenny Omega versus main event level AJ Styles has never happened. And I feel like that's something that will take place at some point, maybe at WrestleMania, maybe at a SummerSlam, depending on how late AJ stays, because he just turned 40 years old. But it's coming at some point, 2019, maybe late 2018, maybe as long as 2020. There's no way that WWE will ignore him for that long, and there's no way that Kenny Omega will ignore the amount of matches that he could put on there. He just has to accept that he will not be the one telling the story anymore. He's just there to make his money and have great matches with the world's best talent. But for now, like you said, it's years away because he is telling a story with Okada. He's telling a story with the Young Bucks. He's building the Bullet Club to mean something. And he's not just going to bail on that because there's a lot of money on the table. That's not who Kenny Omega is.
I mean, that's a fair point. But also let's remember that when main event level Kenny Omega and main event level AJ Styles happens, the WWE won't really recognize that it is what it is.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. No, absolutely.
It'll just be whatever.
And it doesn't mean they won't have a freaking amazing match, because they will. But you're right. I mean, they're not gonna. I mean, they don't even mention the history that Shinsuke and AJ had on, in New Japan, and they had a match, 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago at Wrestle Kingdom, and that's not brought up at all. And that's not saying they should. It's a different company. It's a different history. And according to Vince McMahon, anything outside his company doesn't exist, and that's okay. That's totally understandable. But I'm just saying, once Kenny gets his IWGP title reign, which I think he will get at some point, possibly early next year, once he wraps up telling the stories he wants to tell, getting as much out of the Young Bucks he can, and man, Kenny Omega cannot stop referencing Kota Ibushi. And I know there's one more match with them left over. They used to be tag team partners. Kenny turned on him when he joined the Bullet Club and has been really sad about it for 2 years. And in so many of his matches, he will do taunts or moves that Kota Ibushi does just to keep him in the conversation of, I'm still thinking about you. You're still on my mind. There's no way he's leaving New Japan until he gets a Kota Ibushi match. There's no way.
Okay.
No, I know that stuff you didn't ask for.
No.
Not cogent to this match, but just on his future, that has to be in the cards for him. I don't think he'll leave Japan until he finishes his Okada story and until he and Kota Ibushi get to go one more time.
Now, look, the flip side of this equation, though, is that while Kenny Omega is growing on me, I am an Okada guy. I love the Rainmaker.
He's amazing.
Yeah, I love the Rainmaker. Okay, and here's one of the things, because I've watched him. You know, you watch him against Kenny Omega, and clearly he is the sort of Homeland babyface in that sort of pairing. But then as we get into sort of the homework later against Shibata, he's a heel in that dynamic. So the thing that I like here mainly about Okada, especially when he works in both ways, though, is that, and this also comes sort of from watching the way that a lot of heels get booked stateside, is that he is not like your chicken shit kind of heel who like runs from the challenge and whatnot. He is a guy who is very out there. He is flashy. You know, I mean, they shoot money into the crowd when he comes down, but he brings it in the ring. So he is a guy who has that sort of very extroverted personality to him, but in ring backs up everything that he has to say. And I love that about guys in the ring like that. I don't like people who are all talk and then when it comes to action, run away from it or hide or anything like that. I love guys who are a lot of talk and then are able to back up that talk to legitimize the words that come out of their mouth. You know, not
so I would challenge you that Okada has never been a heel, but I agree with what you're saying.
Yes.
Because he is very flashy and very like, you know, he's got dyed blonde hair. Well, not right now, but normally he's got like platinum blonde hair. He comes out in fancy robes. He's got his own entourage with Gato, you know, yelling all the time, and he drops the money, and like you could see where that could be a very Bobby Roode character, you know, but he's not arrogant. Like his character is very cocksure.
Yes.
But like you rarely see him in a match, you know, play with his opponent or be like a cocky prick. Sometimes in the early goings, he sort of is because he wants to establish that he's champion and you can't fuck with him. But like when it comes down to it, he's not trying to be like, you know, I'm so good that I don't have to try very hard to beat you. Like he always gives it what he needs to give it. And the fans love him.
Yes.
Like they're not sick of him. They don't turn on him. Again, we'll talk about Shibata. Shibata was one of those cases where they wanted him to be champion so bad that they cheered for him. But Okada was still equally the face in that match, you know, within reason.
Fair enough. And look, I like somebody who is very sort of loud outside the ring, and because especially once again stateside, that is sort of feeds into very more heelish personalities. You know, you don't usually see a lot of like flashy baby faces. It's just one of those things. But Okada, like, I love the Rainmaker, dude. I love the idea of it. I love and
he's awesome. Yeah, he's awesome. He is everything John Cena should be. He is awesome.
and you know, and you talk about the Rainmaker finisher, which you cement is very protected. It's so simple. I mean, it's just a short arm clothesline. Like that's all it is. I mean, I saw Jake the Snake Roberts deliver those on night after night. Like, and once again, followed by the DDT. They put guys out. But if you establish a move, even as simple as that, you establish it to be lethal. Anything could be a finisher as long as you play. With the exception of
100% correct. Yeah. Yes.
I mean, with the exception of like the skull crushing finale, like that's never going to be a legitimate finisher. No matter how much I love the Miz, that'll never be. Never. It doesn't matter how much they try, it will never be a legitimate finisher. But the Rainmaker, yes. So coming into this, having watched about like 45 minutes.
Okada's so good that his drop could be a finisher.
Anything. I mean, he's really good. And I'll tell you right now, like I love the Rainmaker, man. I love him. I gotta
tell you because I'm gonna see him in what, 2 weeks?
You tell him. Billy loves you.
So excited. Billy Donnelly wants to touch your butt. I'm so excited about seeing New Japan, period, and Kenny Omega is probably my favorite. But I'm telling you right now, there is nothing that will ever happen in those 2 days that will make me mark out harder than hearing Okada's music hit and seeing the money fall live.
Yeah.
I will lose my fucking mind when that happens.
I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, like after this, like before we even fired up the mic, you were like, give me a few minutes for me to get ready, and then we'll go. I was like, let me go see if I can find like a really nice looking Okada shirt.
Oh my God.
I was like,
here's the bad thing. That's the worst thing about Okada. All of his shirts are trash garbage.
Yeah, they all look like garbage.
All of them.
Yeah, for a guy who's like, for a guy called the Rainmaker, who's like so beloved and like who's just the shit. All of his shirts are garbage.
They're terrible.
Yeah. So New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Get your fucking shit together.
Yeah. Make better shirts for this guy, will you?
You could have had 20 for you. You want to come to America? Give us a Bullet Club style shirt. Give us something that Americans want to see.
Yeah,
come on, man.
Just something flashy, dude. Why I don't understand why they don't just have the money like on a shirt with his face on it. Like how hard is it? How hard is it? You know, there's your idea. I'll take a quarter every time. See? And just so Tom gets one, dive hard with a vengeance.
Yeah, 25 cents in the pocket.
So look, so after going through 45 minutes of about 45 minutes or so of their first match at Wrestle Kingdom 11, which was very good. I wouldn't say that it's like the greatest thing to ever happen to professional wrestling. Because I still, there's still things that irk me as they go, but it is an exceptional match. And getting into the match itself is relatively easy. That over time you can forgive a lot of the things that I may typically look at and say, I got a problem with that. In the context of that match, it didn't matter. I was like, screw it. I'm on for the ride. Let's go. So I was looking forward to this match, especially given the hype, especially considering the expectations.
I didn't know what to expect. I was super hyped about it, but I did not. I mean, I had no idea what they were going to do. I was just going to let it happen to me because there was no way I could imagine, like in the back of my head, I'm like, well, they could maybe give it to Omega because it's they're coming to America soon, but that's not New Japan. They're not WWE. They don't give the top championship to Jinder Mahal just because they're going to India in 3 weeks.
Or because Jinder Mahal's awesome, but that's neither here nor there.
I'm not gonna act like he's the worst because his entrance is the fucking shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point being is I went in expecting, like, I wanted Omega to win because I love him and I know what having that title would mean to him and what he would be able to do with that title. But I had no idea what to expect. And again, like, if Okada won, I was going to be like, that's fucking awesome because you know who's awesome? Fucking Okada. Yeah. There's no bad ending to this as far as I was concerned. I was just along to the, for the ride. I
mean, look, when I have learned with anything of this nature to go in and be cautiously optimistic. I just go,
because there was a lot writing on that. Yeah, there was a lot of ways this could fail.
Yeah,
and everyone would be like, "Oh wow, that was a fluke."
Yeah,
what an unfortunate
you can't
disaster.
go in and be like, "This is going to be the greatest thing ever." Like you just can't because you set yourself up for disappointment. And you set them up for failure, so you can't. And it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's Omega Okada 2. It doesn't matter if it's Star Wars Episode 8. It doesn't matter what it is. Like it doesn't matter if it's the Dark Knight Rises. Whatever it is, when you go in, you should just be cautiously optimistic. You should hope that it's good, and which is what you want. And then anything above good is gravy. Like it's just a bonus. It's an added bonus that gets thrown in. But to go in and be like, all right, we got Omega Okada 2. This is going to be the greatest thing to ever take place in the history of professional wrestling. You're going to ruin it for yourself.
You're going to let yourself down.
Yeah,
you just got to hope for the best and say, you know what? These two these two are the top in the world. They're the best that are currently out there today. Let's see what they can do with a new story, with a new match, and let's just be excited for it.
Yeah, exactly.
And not be like, well, if it's not better, if it doesn't surpass their Wrestle Kingdom 11 match, I shall quit New Japan Wrestling and go back to true independence like Chikara.
Yeah, you just go in and be like, I hope it's good. And then then you could compare and contrast the other match with this one along the way, but so I want to add an extra wrinkle to sort of how this match played for me and how it came together. Is that I sat down to watch this, so I pulled up my New Japan World and I sat down to watch this, and my son was in the house at the time. He had seen me watching the previous match, the which we'll get to for homework. He saw me watching the Shibata Okada match previously, and he was like, "Oh, what are you watching?" And I said, "I'm watching some New Japan Pro Wrestling." And he was like, "Oh, okay." So I didn't want him to watch the Shibata Okada match because I hadn't gotten to quote unquote the part yet, and so I figured I'd just let him escape that. But knowing that I was going to watch this Omega Okada match and I hadn't seen it yet myself, I invited him over to watch the match with me when it was about to start. Now, my son is 8 years old. My son is a WWE fan, and my son doesn't really watch any other outside wrestling other than the WWE universe. NXT included, because he's 8 and he doesn't really have the resources to be like, I'm going to go out and watch this or that or this or that. He watches what I put in front of him, and he's excited about it. So when I first called him over, he was, I asked him if he wanted to watch the match, and he didn't really seem all that into it, primarily because it was probably something different. And he wasn't ready to really sort of take the leap. He was like, I'm okay. I'm all right. And I said, no, come on over. We'll sit down. I'll unplug my headphones out of my laptop, and we'll sit down and we'll watch this match. I haven't seen this match. I heard it's pretty good. Just check it out. So he's like, okay. So he sits down and, Kenny Omega comes down and I show him, and Okada comes down and I show him, and he decides that he's going to be an Omega guy because he found out he's from North America, and that's good enough for him.
There you go. That's good enough for him.
Yeah, that's good enough for him. And you
didn't mention that your son's racist, but that's okay. It'll come out eventually.
And he sat down and he watched this match with me. And over the course of what turned out to be 60 full minutes of Omega versus Okada this time, surpassing the time they went at Wrestle Kingdom 11, he was hooked. He was hooked. He was into the story that they told. He was into the reversals. He was into the false finishes. He was into everything. And when
he was into white guys beating up on foreigners.
Yeah. And when the 60 minutes had expired, he was super excited about what he had just watched. Which, as we talk about all the time, good wrestling is good wrestling. And when you do it right, you can hook anybody. And here was this 8-year-old kid who had never watched New Japan Pro Wrestling before, ever, who sat next to me on the couch for 60 full minutes to watch.
And if all y'all have kids, you know how hard that is.
Yeah, to watch Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada 2, and he was a fan. And that, to me, spoke more volumes about anything that I could really almost say about this match, is that some 8-year-old kid who had never watched New Japan Pro Wrestling before just became a New Japan Pro Wrestling fan based off of this match alone. So then, from then talking beyond that, now I told him, hey, AJ Styles and Nakamura fought in New Japan. Oh, can we watch that match? Now he's asking me to watch matches. So my tip of the cap to Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada for this sequel, because if they were able to do that, that's pretty incredible.
Oh, it's interesting that this match is the one that that got him hooked. I mean, not that it wasn't great, because it is, but obviously you've already kind of alluded to it. This match ended in a draw. this did not have a winner. So the fact that your son was so hooked on a match that no one won and was really excited to watch more, that alone should and he watched it without any context of what happened before. Like, he didn't know about the Wrestle Kingdom 11 match. He didn't know about the G1. He didn't know anything beyond what was told from bell to bell. Yes. That's all he had to go on. And he was still like, this is incredible. I need more of this, which tells you that New Japan knows how to tell stories in the ring, and they train their wrestlers to do it. They expect their wrestlers to do it. And you can go along and be captivated by the storytelling, completely unaware of what came before it or what it's leading towards, and still find a good match. And this match, people asked me about it as soon as it happened. The story in this match was better than the story of their first match. I still don't know if I like it more than their first match, because I need to go probably watch them both on the same day and really compare them again. But the story that Kenny and Kazuchika told in part 2 was a more compelling, more riveting story than their first match, and their first match is incredible. That's where I stand on it.
I might agree with you on that one, because I mean, look, the first match is as exceptional as it is. Towards the end, it does get a little crazy. And look, and here's where I will come down on both of these matches actually too. Is, look, you know how much I hate no selling moves and whatnot, but especially here in the sequel, I found that no selling moves and then sort of laying everything all out on the line to sort of reverse the momentum of the match came at a price. And that's something that I don't see a lot in matches these days, is that when guys do sort of no sell a monumental move and come back with a high impact move of their own, it's not at a cost. So if Kenny Omega or Okada have to lay themselves out to sort of turn the tide of the match, they shouldn't then get right back up and take control of the match. It's really a matter of just sort of stopping the other guy in their tracks and allowing an opening for them to get back into the contest. And that's what I found here in this sequel, is it wasn't a lot of just trading back and forth. It was all with a purpose. So, if Kenny Omega hits his running knee, and that's supposed to stop Okada or set up the one-winged angel almost, for Okada to then maybe no-sell that and come back with a high-impact drop kick that then has them both out on the mat fighting to come back into this match.
Those freaking drop kicks in this match were like, every single one of them had, like, it wasn't just, well, time to do a drop kick.
Yeah.
Every single one of them had a reason. Every single one of them had an impact. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
He pulled out totally that move to, like, it was almost like the way he did them and the way it was laid out was almost like those drop kicks were the periods on the commas that Kenny was writing with. You know what I mean? Like, he was like, I'm going to do this, comma, and then I'm going to do this, comma, and then Okada's like, sentence is over, you got drop kicked in the face, bitch. Like, it was so awesome.
Yes. And on top of that, like I said, when those drop kicks would then hit, both guys are out on the mat. Both guys are exhausted.
Yes.
Both guys are trying to get themselves back into the match. So they were all moves of somebody pulling out essentially the last stop or whatever last trick they might have in their bag to make sure they didn't lose this match. And that makes those sequences count, because it's no longer just, hey, let's do a sequence of cool moves in a row back and forth with each other. They are, okay, you'll do this and that will put me in jeopardy, but I will reach down deep to hit you with this, and we will both be back even when we started at the end of the sequence. And that grabs your emotions in a match, because then you don't know what's going to happen. the air of uncertainty sits on that match because you now know, you know somebody's momentum has been stopped, but you don't know that the other guy is necessarily going to be able to take control. You just know that they were able to sort of hold off defeat for a little while. And that's why I thought this match was almost better, because I do think that it does tell a better story than the first match. And yes, the fact that you get a 60-minute time limit draw, as they're counting down, and it's funny because when you watch it with the English commentary, there's like a delay on it.
Yeah.
So they will make the announcement to the crowd out loud in Japanese about how much time is left. And then 30 seconds will take off from that time before the American commentary is like, I think there's only 10 minutes left. So as I was watching with my kid, he was like, what happens? What happens if they get to 60 minutes? Because draws never happen in this day and age. Once upon a time.
And a 60-minute draw?
Yeah.
I think I might have read this because again, I watch quite a bit of New Japan Pro Wrestling-ish, the current stuff. Mm-hmm. But I mean, they've been around since the 70s. There's a lot of stuff that happened that I'm not familiar with. But I want to say, and trust me, you can tell me if I'm wrong, Internet, this might have been the first 60-minute draw that has happened in 2 decades or more. They rarely go 60 minutes. There have been several 30-minute draws that happen, and 20-minute draws and that kind of stuff. But to have a 60-minute match and have no one get pinned does not happen in New Japan. They're not a draw company unless it means something. And this one meant a lot. And I got to tell you, I was watching that match. And then when the announcers came up, because they have the Japanese announcer come over the public PA, which I also like in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Is not what happens in WWE that much. They'll actually have someone say, 30 minutes have expired or whatnot. When they said that this match had been going on for 50 minutes, 5-0, I literally out loud said, what the fuck? Because I thought I'd been watching it for 25 minutes. I did not know I had been sitting there on my couch for 50 minutes watching a match.
Yeah, it flies. I mean, it's not, it doesn't sit there. It doesn't feel like a Bret Hart match.
It doesn't feel like no.
You know what I mean?
It didn't feel like, and then those last 10 minutes, I was just on the edge of my seat, cheering and rubbing my hands together because any moment could have been the finish, and they just turned it up like crazy for those last 10. And when it gets down to the last 2, it gets down to the last 1, and I'm just like, what is gonna happen? I was so invested at that. I mean, I was invested the whole match because I love both of them. But once that 50-minute mark came over and we had 10 minutes left, because 10 minutes seems like nothing when 50 minutes just flew by like nothing. Though I was just so invested in who's gonna pull this off. What's going to happen? Is it going to be a draw? Are they both so evenly matched now? Did Kenny get so much better after his loss that he can't be beaten? And I lost my mind for those last 10 minutes. I mean, look, there are 60-minute matches that feel like 120 minutes. And then there are 60-minute matches that feel like 35. In this match, moved. It didn't just sort of sit there. It didn't drag on. You never felt like it was taking forever or that, when is this match going to end? It was paced very well. It was laid out very well. So as a result, it moved. So and that's always a credit. Whether it's anything you watch, you want a movie, a TV show, a wrestling match to feel shorter than it actually is, leaving you wanting more. You never want it to feel like it's twice as long. I can't wait for the next match in this series, which we'll talk about in a little bit because there's multiple. Well, we'll see because there's no definitive time these two could fight again. They're both going to be in the G1 because Kenny's the last year's winner. He's obviously going to be in it. And then if the champion is in it and the champion wins, the champion gets to pick his opponent for the dome. So they could. So depending on how, didn't this just get you super excited to watch the G1? All of it now. So like, if Kenny and Kazuchika, or if Kenny and Okada are in the same block, there's A block and B block, then they're going to fight each other once in their block. And then that's a half-hour time limit. That match is going to be insane as it is. But if they put them in the final, if they put them in the in separate blocks, and then they both win their block, then they will meet in the finals, which I believe is a 60-minute time limit again. And then whoever wins, like if Kenny wins that match to win the G1 twice in a row, then he obviously earns his shot at the title at Wrestle Kingdom. But then keep in mind that their record would be 1-1-1.
Yeah. See,
if they go to the Dome, it would be a whole different type of tiebreaker.
See, here you go, Smart Marks. This is a chance for you to actually roll out the Fight Forever chant, and for it to be legitimate, because these two guys may actually go on and fight forever. They're going to fight another 30 minutes. They're going to fight another 60 minutes. Then maybe another 45.
The G1 is now very interesting. They normally announce the blocks the end of June, I think. I think before July starts, we should have a schedule, as in like where they're going to be on what day, and then what block everyone is in. They don't always announce who's fighting who that far in advance, but like they will announce who's in the A block, who's in the B block. So that should get your juices flowing. Just are Okada and Omega going to be in the same block, or are they going to be on a different block? And if they are in different blocks, they might not fight at all. I mean, they might never get to the finals, like it could be someone else entirely.
Boo!
But if it's me, this is the story you tell from here to the Dome is Kenny and Okada, right? Like that. But New Japan doesn't book like WWE does. They don't. Not that they don't care what the fans want. It's just that their roster is so talented that they could easily have Tetsuya Naito win the G1 because he lost in the finals last year, and then get the shot, and then Okada, because this is how it works. In the G1, if the champion is pinned by anybody in any of his matches, then those people get a title shot before the Dome. So if Okada loses twice or once or three times, then those three people get a title shot before the Dome happens. So it could easily end up being where Tetsuya Naito wins, maybe Tanahashi pins Okada, and then Tanahashi wins the belt again, and you've got Naito and Tanahashi for the belt, and then you've got Okada and Omega for the for an IC belt, or maybe it's a grudge match, or who knows? Like, there's so many ways New Japan could book this coming out of the G1. But yes, the smart money is people want to see these two fight forever. and what a great G1 final to have Okada and Omega 3, especially. And again, if they go to another draw, then depending on points, Okada might win the whole tournament because based on how many points he got in the B block or A block, whatever he's in. And he might pick Omega. I don't know, man. Wrestling is the best.
That can't happen.
Cares?
Nobody wants to see points. Okay,
No.
I'll accept the time limit draw, but if I get to have a winner on points, no.
I'm just saying, like, it's always crazy. It's always up in the air. This year's G1 is a must watch because of how good this Dominion match was, and to see where they're going to go with Wrestle Kingdom 12. Who knows? But man. All I know is that whenever you put Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada in the ring together, they make amazing magic.
Yes.
It is some of the best wrestling you will ever watch from a technical standpoint, like what they're actually doing, and a storytelling standpoint. They have put together those matches where, like I said, like you never see a drop kick in WWE mean a goddamn thing besides like Randy Orton's is pretty, like it's a pretty drop kick, the end of the story. But like drop kicks mean something in these matches, and like a running knee means something. It's not just a move. It is the move in itself is part of the story. This match may, at the end of the day, this match may be better than their Wrestle Kingdom match, because I think on a technical level, the first one might be a little better. It might be a little better from like just a pure technical wrestling standpoint, because there is a frustration where, and I'm going to sound like Billy Donnelly, Okada got his leg fucked at the beginning of this match. Like fucked. He got his left leg was getting destroyed by Omega for minutes and minutes and minutes.
Yeah.
And it did come into play in the first half an hour,
and then it went away.
It kind of went away at the end. So like the technical merits of the match, the first one could be a little better because the first one didn't have such a blatant destruction of a body part, but also like, you know, it's an hour-long match. Like they both were extremely exhausted at the end. No one seemed to have the upper hand, really. I mean, they both kind of had the upper hand at moments, but they both sold it like it was terrible for both of them. You can kind of forgive that. So, like I said, from a technical perspective, maybe the first match was better, but from a storytelling perspective, in terms of like what the moves meant and what the story they were trying to tell, I think this might go down as the better match. And I don't know how you get better than 6 stars. Like, I don't know if, I mean, I think unfortunately, Dave painted himself into a corner because I don't think he ever thought anyone would ever top that.
I believe the word circulating is that he gave this one 6.25 stars, which is now like now when you just don't have any more rules. Yeah, now you're just like
stars is the new. Now 6 stars is the new official roof.
Yeah, whatever. So, like, you know, it's all. See,
like
it's all bullshit. Oh, I love this movie. It's an A plus. Like you gotta have a list. You gotta have rules, man. You can't have a top 10 and then add an 11th or a 10.5. Like, it just doesn't work. Like, be true to yourself,
at the bottom line, again, like we said at the beginning, all that means to anyone else is not that Dave is right or anything. It just means that if he ranks a match 5 stars, it is worth your time to go out of your way to see it. If he ranks a match 6 stars, it is drop what you're doing and watch that match.
Yeah.
And then make a decision about it yourself. Because again, like, we've both been watching wrestling for a long time. I watch a lot of independent wrestling. I do still watch some WWE, but it's not my most watched promotion anymore. These 2 matches really are 2 of the greatest matches I have ever seen in my life, because they are perfect in a way that wrestling matches are not normally perfect. Indie wrestling is very focused on the spectacle and not the story in a lot of times. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Most of the time it's not. It's spectacle over substance. These matches did both. They had crazy moments, amazing technical wrestling, amazing reversals, but they were all in service of a story.
I mean, look, to that point, let me just jump in really fast, because to that point, you know, when Kenny Omega in this match, late in this match, finally does hit the One-Winged Angel, okay? Finally hits it.
He hit it.
Okay.
He hit it.
Finally hits it. And with all the backstory you laid out, like, this should be the kill shot, okay? Watching it, especially knowing how much wrestling we have watched over the courses of our lives, knowing the position where that move was hit,
yes,
and Okada's proximity to the ropes, knowing that foot is probably going to go on there in time to save him from the 3 count, didn't make it any less when it happened. And that's the beauty of wrestling when it's done so well.
Was that literally basically his foot just fell? Like, it wasn't even like he had to reach out and touch it. No, his foot just dropped a little. You know what I mean? Like, it was just the positioning.
But you knew it was coming.
He got to hit it one time. Of course you know it's coming.
But it didn't matter. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. But that's what I'm saying. That is the beauty of this, is that even when you know something's coming because it's right there in front of your face, you have gone along, you have just given it, like, you've given the keys over. You've been like, just take me on a ride. Just drive me wherever you want to drive me. Here, I'm going along with you for this ride. Knowing that happens, it's right in front of your face. It didn't make it any less amazing or heartbreaking when it happened. And that is what we talk about all the time. That is the beauty of wrestling when it is done so well, is that if it just reaches right into your chest and just grabs hold of your heart, just in like a death grip, like this did, you go with it, and you feel something in that moment. Even though you know it's coming, it doesn't matter, because the emotion of the moment has just taken over. Your heart is taken over your head, and it's beautiful. And like you said at the beginning, you were super like, when that happened. Yes. And going in, you were not a Kenny guy. You wanted Okada to win. And then when Kenny almost won, it still broke your heart because of how good this match was. Because he was so close. Because he finally hit this move. And I still wanted Okada to win the match. But just seeing that happen, you're like, oh, man, he's so close. And look, and the match is just done very well. This match is done exceptionally well. And to go once again back, 60-minute time limit draws are not they're not a dime a dozen. Once a long time ago, Ric Flair used to do these like on a nightly basis. But now, where everything is quick and attention spans are shorter, to ask for a 60-minute time limit draw that doesn't then go into like some kind of crazy Iron Man overtime rules. That is...
You can't book these very often because they're fucking brutal for everybody. They're brutal for the wrestlers. They're brutal for... You know what I mean? Like, it is, it's rough.
Yeah, it's tough. To go for 60 minutes is tough. And there will be people who go, well, they really go 60 minutes because, they were laying on the mat for some time and that expires sometime. So really, it's probably only like 23 minutes and then like 37 minutes of rest holds. Shut up, okay? You can't go 90 miles an hour all the time, okay? It's ebbs and flows, highs and lows. It's a roller coaster, man. You got to get it going. And this match was a roller coaster that went for 60 minutes. It went to a time limit draw. There is no winner. There is only questions and uncertainty moving forward. There's an 8-year-old kid who's asked me to watch more New Japan Pro Wrestling as a result of this match. It's beautiful. And it came together really well. And my hat's off to these two guys who put on one hell of a show, who told one hell of a story, and who have myself, wanting to watch more New Japan Pro Wrestling on a regular basis. I'm like, what, Raw, SmackDown? I'm G1. Give me the G1. That's where we're at as a result of this match at Dominion. So I give this match, look, I very rarely bust out with a ranking system, Tom. We all know I hate ratings and scores and rankings or whatever, but just on this special occasion, Kenny Omega versus Okada 2, 100,050 stars. I'm putting it out there for you. I just want to let people know it's 100,050 stars. It may be... It's not my favorite match of all time. I have my favorite matches of all time. But I think much in line with my favorite matches of all time, the emotion is what grabbed you and took you for the ride. And even though your head may be saying one thing, or you're predicting something else, or you're looking for certain things based off of, wrestling formula, this got you to suspend all of that and just dive right into the match. And for that, like this match, this is an amazing match. Yeah. And I'm glad we talked a whole lot about it.
Yeah.
And we're not even done talking New Japan, because now we're going to talk about another match, another major match in New Japan Pro Wrestling history, as well as just this year. And it is a match that is near and dear to your heart. This is the match that was homework for this week. This is a New Japan match that we once upon a time attempted to talk about, but could not bring ourselves to because of everything that came with the match in the aftermath. And this is a match that took place in April. It took place at Sakura Genesis. This was the wrestler Katsuyori Shibata versus the Rainmaker, once again, Kazuchika Okada. Go ahead and lay the groundwork for this match, and then we will get into this one.
Okay. So how far back do you want me to go on this?
Let's do the Cliff's Notes version.
Okay. So essentially, Kazuchika Okada and Katsuyori Shibata have had a long history together. But in recent times, Shibata was supposed to be the top prospect of New Japan, and he came to the company and he was winning left and right, and everyone loved him, and then he quit because he wanted to go be a real fighter, and he went to MMA and he went and did that for a while. Then he came back a couple years ago, and the storyline was like, can he still get it done? Will people still like him? Because he kind of turned his back on wrestling for a long time. And now he's back and he wants to do this. Is his heart really in it? All that stuff. So Shibata won the New Japan Cup, which is their March series of matches, where it's basically like a King of the Ring, where it's not a round robin. It's like two people fight, then the winner goes on to fight the next person, and they go on and go on and go on till the end of the tournament. He won the New Japan Cup, which guaranteed him a title shot at the next pay-per-view, which is Sakura Genesis. So he and Okada have kind of just always kind of had like a passing beef, but not like they hate each other. It's just that they, Shibata's out to prove that he does deserve to be champion. He does deserve this match. He does love pro wrestling, and he deserves to be on top of the mountain. That's kind of what the backstory is he's kind of earning his stripes back after bailing on New Japan Pro Wrestling in the middle of a contract to go actually kick people in the face for real.
Well, this match was recommended as the homework for this week because after watching, I believe, lots of Evolve 85 for last show, you wanted to give me the pleasure of watching two Japanese men just beat the
living hell out of each other.
Just the piss out of each other. And this match delivered. Look, going into Omega Okada 2, because I watched this match first. And I'm going to tell you, I love this match. Like, this is a great match. Because once again, it tells a story. And you'll have...
It's a fucking great match.
Yeah, it is a great match. It really is. And the thing that I love about it so much is that it is... it's a test of wills in a number of ways. Because once again, you will have, going back to sort of the things that I don't like, you will have exchanges of no selling and whatnot. But it's all for a purpose. It's not just, hey, let's do cool stuff here. It's let's sit in the middle of this ring and trade slaps of one another until one of us cannot take it anymore.
I need to tell you, I know we're jumping to the middle of the match because I watched it for the first time, like I said, a couple weeks ago when I told you all to watch it. When not Shibata, but when Okada sat down cross-legged in the middle of the ring, I lost my goddamn mind.
Me too! Me too! I popped on my couch hard for this one.
Because it was just like the champion being like, oh, you think you're better than me? Sit your ass down. I'm going to beat you at your own game, bitch. and it was so. Oh, I love Okada so much.
And then the fact that he gets the worst of it is even better. That's even better.
He gets destroyed.
Yes,
he gets like wrecked.
He's like, I'm gonna do exactly what you do, but I'm gonna prove how tough I am in this moment. Oh, that really hurts.
Oh God, this is terrible. Why did I do this?
What a stupid idea. But look, this match is also it builds really well because it starts off as just a wrestling contest, like a legitimate sort of on the mat MMA style grapple fest. Guys working for a holds, getting in full mount, talking about, even the commentary is adding to it, talking about, you don't want to get in Shibata's guard. And I was like, yeah, let's see what's going to happen here. And then it slowly builds and it gets more exciting and more strikes are incorporated and it starts to get brutal and it's hard hitting. And these dudes, look, and we've talked about the fact that, like, I don't like violence just for violence's sake. Like, I don't like dudes just like beating the shit out of each other without there being a reason for it. But there was a reason for these guys to trade such chilling forearm shots with one another. And it's such a great match.
My God.
This is like
oh my God, it's so good.
It's like 75,000 and a half stars on this one. It is really good. And I sent you a message too while I was watching it, and you were like, "Yeah, Japanese strong style is for real. It's not just a catchphrase.
It's not a catchphrase.
No. I mean, this is hard hitting, and it can be at times tough to watch. It just is because they're laying it in there, and I'm not in favor of guys like just working stiff, like for like to be a dick about it, or to like try and boost their own reputation in the locker room. But if you're doing it and both guys are doing it to sort of make it feel more real and more grounded, and as a result suck you into the match a little bit more, then hey, I'll waive it. I'll be like, go ahead, just one time only. You got to pass. So go ahead. But yeah, this match is so good as it builds.
Like I said, after watching it, I think I might actually like this match more than the first Okada Omega match.
I might too.
It's so good. It's so goddamn good.
Even after watching the sequel, I was almost like, oh, I don't know. because
I think the sequel tells a better story than this match, but
this one tells a good story too.
I could watch either one. I could watch them both again right now and be happy. They're both that match. If that truly is Shibata's last match, and he's kind of in that Daniel Bryan situation where he's not like permanently, injured to the point where he's like immobile. He'll be fine, eventually fine, but like he probably can't wrestle again, but he'll be a trainer or something like that. If this truly is his last match, Jesus Christ, is there any way you could have gone out any higher?
Yeah, it's a hell of a way to go out. And look,
oh my God, it's so good.
And look, and to bring it up because we obviously have to talk about it. During one of those brutal striking exchanges, he reaches down into his bag of tricks and pulls out a headbutt. And I'm not talking like I'm going to headbutt into like your shoulder or collarbone. It is, I am going to legitimately headbutt you. And it is
as hard as I can.
And like, it's horrible. It is horrible to watch because you sort of gave me warning in advance, like when it had like you won't know.
I didn't even tell you. I didn't even tell you what the moment of the match was. I was like, "There's one moment that's gonna make you a little cringy."
Yeah, and you
shockingly enough, you picked up on it.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm not gonna tell you, but like when it happens, like you'll know. And like it's definitely like cringe inducing. And that's an understatement. Like when it happens, it's horrible because you can hear it, and it's horrible.
It's like in wrestling, we are conditioned to understand the thigh slap is a hit.
Yeah.
Like we are accustomed to hearing that when someone gets kicked or punched or chopped.
My 8-year-old does it when he hits me with his quote unquote super kick. He knows.
So that is the sound of flesh hitting flesh, or boots hitting faces. That is the sound we hear. This is the sound of bone hitting bone.
It's horrible. And it's so horrible.
It is such a drastic difference from what you are accustomed to hear as a quote unquote fake fighting fan, that when you see it, you see like Okada recoil, you see how much like freaking force Shibata puts into it, and then you hear that thud. Just like
it's so horrible.
I mean, it's so hard. It's so hard to watch and listen to, and like they recover quickly, and that great visual, which obviously turned out to be a bad thing, of the blood pouring from Shibata's head, which is not the first time that's happened. He's headbutted people before and had it bleed like that, and I think he knows it's a good visual, so that's why he does it. Like he headbutts people hard so it opens up his head intentionally, But like it's cringe-inducing because it is legitimately someone getting headbutted, and like if you've ever hit your head in a table, or getting up from being under a table, picking up something from the ground, it hurts like a bastard, and and you know what that sounds like against wood. So hearing it happen intentionally to someone else, you cannot help. It's like watching movies where someone's getting their teeth drilled by a you know what it feels like, you know what that sounds like, and you hate it.
It's horrible. I don't. There's no other word I could think to properly describe it other than horrible. I mean, it's horrible. And look, and we know that the head injury that resulted as a result, and that is sort of what is keeping Shibata out and probably never to be cleared to wrestle again if things hold true. Especially knowing what we know about the brain and head injuries as it deals with sort of wrestling and football and everything that's sort of coming out with CTE and head trauma and concussions and whatnot. Look, if there are any wrestlers out there, whether they're mainstream or independent, if any of you are listening at this point in time, let me issue you a heartfelt, compassionate direction here. Don't headbutt people, okay? Just don't do it. There's only risk. There's not even reward to trade for it. It can only end badly. Like there is nothing
it's a great moment in the match, and you know what? Horrible. It made you feel an emotion. But I'm with you, Billy. I'm with you. Like there is nothing
there's something else. There's nothing that an elbow or a forearm or a punch or a kick could not accomplish in that moment. That the headbutt trumps for some reason. Like you're
right. When you're right, you're right. Yeah. I'm saying that I think that moment meant a lot in the story of that match, but also again these wrestlers. We're finally getting to the point where we understand concussions. We understand why they're terrible for you. And you guys work in an environment that you put your bodies at risk, and you don't want to be 60 and not be able to walk anymore or have major brain problems. So guys, I know it's a great moment. I know you can take it. You think you can take it. Quit doing it. There's no story beat that is so important that you need to threaten your own future and well-being because of it.
Yeah, look, the elbow is the hardest part of the body. Use that.
Just like the hardest part of the ring.
Yeah, just use that. Don't do it. Don't do it anymore, please. It's only my entertainment. It's your passion, and it's my entertainment. And combined, they should not lead to long-term head trauma. Okay, let's just put it that way. And on top of that, look, Shibata pays an ultimate price for that. For one moment, an ultimate price. And I sent that to you, and I said to you too, like, thank God only one of them was hurt. It's a horrible way to think about it, but you also got to rationalize it too, because at that very moment, that move could have damaged two careers. Two careers at the exact same time.
Correct.
You could have two guys walking away from that match unable to wrestle ever again. That's why don't use headbutts anymore. Like, just don't do them. Because the risk far outweighs anything else that you could have done for it. And look, thank God Okada is fine from this, and he wound up giving us a 10,050 star match, or a 100,050 star match at Dominion. And look, and I wish that this wasn't the end for Shibata, because seeing these two guys again in this ring, like, once again, as you mentioned, you put Okada in a match with anybody, I'm watching it right now. Okay, anybody, I don't care who it is. You put him in a ring with Ryback, I'll watch it right now. Okay, but it is it is tough to watch at that moment, and then sort of as the match winds down, that still sort of lingers in your mind. But it is a tremendous story. It is a tremendous match. I love both these matches that we got this week. New Japan forever. And
they're the best, man. They're the freaking best.
Yeah, and so excellent homework, Tom. You were right. Erection resulted, and it is very strange that two Japanese men, including one with a long-term head injury now, gave me a pretty stellar hard-on as a result. So look, let's set it up for...
Yeah, you got to watch these matches. Hopefully you watch them as part of the homework, but if you just listen because you're a slacker, go out and watch both of them immediately. Yeah. They are two of the greatest matches in modern professional wrestling history, and both of them happened in 2017.
Yeah, they are exceptional. They are both exceptional. Stars up the yin yang for both of them. So don't listen to Dave Meltzer and his stars. You listen to my stars. 100,050 stars for Omega Okada 2 at Dominion, and 75,374 stars for Shibata and Okada at Sakura Genesis. All right, Tom, let's get set up for the homework for next week. Let's get the assignment out there for everybody. What do you got on tap for everybody for next week?
Well, so we have Money in the Bank's coming up in this weekend, actually. So I thought I would give you all another ladder match to go and watch. And because this is Shinsuke Nakamura's first ever ladder match he's ever been a part of, I decided I would give you a thematically relevant match, which is the first and only ladder match that New Japan Pro Wrestling has ever had. And that is for the Intercontinental title. It features Michael Elgin versus Kenny Omega. So go track that one down. It is a phenomenal ladder match, because when New Japan goes big, man, they do it better than anybody.
All right, make sure you follow the Expert-in-Chief, our resident wrestling guru, Tom Nix, on Twitter at the Tom Nix, TheTomNix. That's Tom Nix. So follow him on Twitter.
Do I get to do my song?
Yeah, go ahead, do it.
Okay. TheTomNix. TOMNIX. That's me.
There you go. Look, make sure you follow me on Twitter as well at Infamous Kid. That's at Infamous Kid, KIDD, 2 Ds at the end there. So at Infamous Kid. Also at the IWC Show. That is the official Twitter handle here of Intelligent Wrestling Conversation. So at the IWC Show. Make sure you get us on wherever you get your podcast from. You listen to this one, so listen to all of them. Make sure you subscribe, you rate, and you comment. It's very easy. So subscribe, click that little button wherever podcasts are most convenient for you. So iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Blueberry, SoundCloud, TuneIn, wherever you want to get it from, just click that little subscribe so they're all hand-delivered to you, not by me, but by the interweb workers, the Oompa Loompas out there of the internet world. They can deliver every episode right to you. Make sure you rate the show so that it helps us for our overall rankings. So rate the show. If we're doing a 5-star effort, give us 5 stars. If we're doing less than that, shut your mouth and keep it to yourself. 5 stars. Just like Dave Meltzer would give us. And make sure you comment. Leave some feedback. Let people know why you like the show so that they also like the show and they listen to the show. So just a couple words, jot it down. I will greatly appreciate it. And yes, you will have a tip of the cap and all the stars that you want for just giving us a few words of encouragement and feedback. So look, with that said, that's the show. Money in the Bank this weekend. Make sure you check it out. Men's Money in the Bank match. First ever women's Money in the Bank match. So that should be interesting to watch.
That's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. I wish there was I unfortunately don't watch a lot of Stardom, which is the all-female promotion in Japan, because New Japan Pro Wrestling doesn't have a women's division, and I don't watch a lot of Shine, so I really wanted to find another women's ladder match or a showcase women's match from the past couple of months, and I'm just not familiar enough with them. And one day I'm going to dig into some stuff and find some stuff, because a couple of the Stardom ladies are coming to WWE, and you really got to watch them because they're freaking amazing. Yeah, we'll get out the shovels. We'll dig deep. We'll find. We want to showcase women's wrestling more on the show as well, because we love the ladies. They're doing fantastic things. Phenomenal stuff. Yeah. When women's wrestling is good, it's freaking great. And I know it's kind of a bell curve because it's been treated so poorly for so long, but man, they're some of the best parts of the indie shows I go to are the women's matches, because they just tear it down. They're so good. Look, don't worry. We got some women's stuff on tap. I give you my word. In no time at all, you will have a pretty stellar women's showcase here on this show. I promise you. So just bear with me on that. So look, Money in the Bank this weekend. Make sure you tune into that. You got lots of New Japan that you got to get caught up on and to watch for next week. So for Tom Nix, I've been your host, Billy Donnelly. This has been Intelligent Wrestling Conversation. We'll see you back here next week. Have a pleasant immediate future. We're out for now. Peace. Intelligent Wrestling Conversation has been a podcast presentation of This Is Infamous.